Interstellar is a science fiction movie directed by Christopher Nolan and released in 2014. Spoilers ahead. In the middle of the 21st century, Earth has become a shadow of the world it once was. Dust storms sweep across empty fields, and harvests die one after another. What was once fertile land is now barren soil, choking under waves of dust that rise like ghosts of the past. Humanity faces slow extinction, trapped on a planet that can no longer feed it, a planet that feels tired, almost as if it's giving up. Amid this decay lives Joseph Cooper, a former NASA pilot turned farmer. Once trained to explore the skies and navigate the unknown, he now spends his days repairing broken machinery and fighting to keep his small patch of land alive. Cooper lives with his two children, Murph and Tom, and his aging father-in-law, Donald, who tries to bring warmth and stability to a world that's falling apart. Their lives revolve around surviving each day, battling dust, and clinging to memories of a time when humanity still looked upward and dared to dream. Schools, stripped of ambition, now teach that space exploration was a lie, that the Apollo missions were staged propaganda. It is a world that no longer dreams, a world that has forgotten its own courage. But Cooper cannot stop dreaming, not completely. Some part of him still remembers the sky. His daughter, Murph, inherits that same restless spark, a bright, sharp curiosity in a generation taught to suppress such things. She questions everything, refuses simple answers, and feels that something about the world is deeply wrong. One evening, a violent dust storm sweeps through their home. When the air clears, Murph discovers strange patterns in the dust coating her floor, lines and symbols arranged with intention. She becomes convinced that a ghost is trying to communicate with her. Cooper, initially skeptical, examines the markings carefully. The lines are too precise, too structured. He realizes they represent coordinates, written not by a ghost, but by gravity, as if the universe itself is pointing them somewhere. Following the coordinates, Cooper and Murph arrive at a secret NASA facility hidden beneath the desert. Inside, they discover what remains of humanity's last scientific hope. There, they meet Professor John Brand, an older man burdened with knowledge too heavy for one person to carry. He explains that humanity's survival now depends on leaving Earth entirely. Nearly 50 years earlier, a wormhole mysteriously appeared near Saturn, a doorway to another galaxy containing 12 potential new worlds. A dozen astronauts were sent through it on the Lazarus missions to explore those worlds. 3 planets, Miller's, Edmonds, and Mann's, sent back promising data. Brand's team is now preparing a follow-up mission, the Endurance, to determine which of those worlds can become humanity's new home. Professor Brand presents 2 plans for saving the species. Plan A, solve the problem of gravity, allowing them to lift entire communities off Earth and into space. Plan B, if Plan A fails, carry frozen human embryos to a habitable world and rebuild civilization there. It's a brutal, unforgiving backup plan. One that saves the species, not the people alive today. To pilot the Endurance, they need someone with experience, precision, and courage, and Cooper is the best they have left. Leaving Murph behind tears him apart. She begs him to stay, to choose his family over the unknown. But Cooper knows that staying means surrendering to extinction. He promises he will return, that he will come back to her. She refuses to accept his promise, and their final goodbye is heavy with hurt, a silence that carries more emotion than words ever could. The Endurance launches into orbit, carrying Cooper, Dr. Amelia Brand, the professor's daughter, scientists Romilly and Doyle, and 2 robotic companions, Tars and Case. Together, they represent the fragile hope of a dying species. After a 2-year journey through deep space, they finally reach the wormhole near Saturn, a shimmering sphere that bends light itself. Passing through it is unlike anything they could imagine. The laws of physics twist, time pulls in strange directions, and reality becomes fluid. When they emerge, they find themselves in a new galaxy, orbiting a massive black hole named Gargantua, a cosmic giant whose gravity shapes everything around it. Their first destination is Miller's planet, located dangerously close to Gargantua's event horizon. From orbit, the planet appears calm, covered in shallow water reflecting a pale sky. But as they descend, the truth becomes clear: time there moves hundreds of times slower than on Earth. A single hour on Miller's surface equals 7 years outside. They land and begin searching for signs of Miller's expedition. All they find is wreckage, barely recognizable. Before they can regroup, a towering tidal wave, as high as a mountain, rises on the horizon. It moves with impossible speed. The wave hits, destroying their craft and killing Doyle instantly. Cooper and Amelia barely escape with their lives. When they return to orbit, they find Romilly alone, aged by 23 years of solitude. He waited decades for them, living in silence, surrounded by empty space and fading hope. The mission's time and resources are now dangerously low. They must choose carefully where to go next. Amelia argues for Edmund's planet, not just because the data looks promising, but because she trusts the man who sent it. Cooper, thinking strategically and emotionally exhausted, chooses Man's planet instead. Man, the most respected of the Lazarus astronauts, is still transmitting strong signals. Cooper believes that if anyone found a truly habitable world, it would be him. During the long journey, Cooper watches years of messages from Earth. He sees his son Tom grow up, start a family, and struggle through hardship after hardship. Murph, now an adult and a scientist, works with Professor Brand to solve the gravity equation. But Earth continues to collapse. Crops fail, dust storms intensify, and families break apart. Civilization is fading. Then, as Professor Brand nears death, Murph learns a devastating truth. The gravity equation cannot be solved from Earth. The data needed lies inside a black hole, unreachable by any living human. Brand admits privately that Plana was impossible from the beginning. The Endurance crew was never meant to return. The mission was always Plan B. Murph is crushed. She realizes her father left believing he could save them, while Brand sent him away with a lie. On Man's planet, the crew revives Dr. Mann from cryosleep. At first, he seems grateful, trembling with relief. He describes his planet as cold but ultimately habitable, a frozen surface hiding hope beneath the ice. Yet soon, subtle inconsistencies creep into his story. While scouting the landscape, Mann reveals the truth. His data was falsified. His world is dead, frozen down to its core. Driven mad by loneliness and fear, he forged positive readings, knowing someone would eventually come for him. Then he attacks Cooper, leaving him to die in the freezing wasteland. Mann steals a lander and attempts to dock with the Endurance, desperate to escape. His reckless docking causes an explosion, killing Romilly and tearing the ship apart. Mann dies instantly, but Cooper manages an impossible manual docking maneuver, stabilizing the Endurance just in time. It is one of the film's most iconic moments, a desperate dance of precision and instinct. Now only Cooper and Amelia remain. Their fuel is nearly gone. To reach Edmund's planet, humanity's last hope, they must use Gargantua's immense gravity to slingshot themselves forward. The maneuver is extraordinarily dangerous. Every second spent near the black hole will stretch into years outside. Cooper calculates the trajectory and realizes that someone must detach their module at the right moment. If Amelia is to survive, he must stay behind. Without hesitating, he chooses to sacrifice himself. As Cooper and TARS fall toward Gargantua, time fractures. Light stretches into glowing ribbons. Reality becomes a storm of gravity and relativity. The ship breaks apart, and yet Cooper awakens in a place beyond comprehension. A tesseract. A vast, multidimensional construct built by beings who evolved beyond the limits of three-dimensional space, beings who, impossibly, are descendants of humanity's future. They built this structure inside the singularity so that Cooper could communicate with Murph across time. Every wall is a moment. Every corridor is a memory. Time has become physical, something he can move through, examine, and touch. Cooper realizes the truth: he was the ghost Murph believed in as a child. Through the ticking of the watch he left behind, he sends her the quantum data that TARS collected from inside the black hole. The watch becomes a lifeline between their worlds. Murph decodes the message, solves the equation, and gives humanity the means to escape Earth's dying gravity. The loop completes. The future saves its own past. Once the message is delivered, the Tesseract collapses. Cooper is pulled through space and time and ejected near Saturn, where he is rescued by a vast space station, one built by the very people he helped save. Cooper awakens to find that decades have passed. Murph is now an old woman, surrounded by generations of her family. Their reunion is brief but profoundly emotional. She tells him that she has lived her life, that she no longer needs him. She urges him to go, to find Amelia, who is alone on Edmund's planet, building the first foundations of a new human future. On Edmund's world, Amelia Brand stands beneath a pale sky, surrounded by untouched land and infinite possibility. She removes her helmet and feels the air, breathable, gentle, full of promise. A new human colony begins with her, alone but determined. Somewhere beyond the stars, Cooper and TARS prepare for one final journey, heading toward Amelia. Toward a new world, a new chapter, and a future shaped by hope, sacrifice, and the unbreakable human spirit. Interstellar stands as one of the most powerful sci-fi stories ever created, not only a tale of space and science, but a meditation on love that transcends time and space, on the nature of sacrifice, and on humanity's unrelenting desire to push forward, no matter the cost.